Our purpose at WE is to change the dismal statistics of our people, particularly Māori and Pasifika people. We do this through helping small and medium-sized businesses to thrive. Our businesses need our help. So many have felt the pressures of lockdown and are facing challenges that they've never faced before. Challenges that are impacting their livelihoods. That is why we're bringing you this series, to share stories of the people behind our businesses, their successes, their failures, their challenges, and their triumphs.
If you are already in business, we hope you will be inspired. Perhaps someone will share one piece of gold that makes a difference in your business. If you've been thinking about starting a business, we hope that you will be motivated to start your own business venture.
We hope that by sharing these stories, we can help small businesses on the road to recovery all across New Zealand, Australia, and the Pacific.
So grab your cup of tea and whakarongo mai.
Kia ora, e te whānau. No mai, haere mai, welcome. You'll see that my backdrop looks a little bit different today, and that's because, as you may know, it's mine and Ali's 10th wedding anniversary, and literally this week we decided to shoot down to Queenstown. So we thought about recording this and just playing a recording, but we thought, no, actually, we're going to do this live. So here we are. So today I'm going to be interviewing none other than my husband, the other co-founder of WE Accounting, Eli Tagi. Kia ora.
Kia ora, tauwha, maro sufo maumana like ma. And kia ora koutou. There's te wiki o te reo Māori today, so this week. So welcome, kia ora.
Kia ora. So I thought, well, since it is our 10th wedding anniversary today, it makes sense for me to interview Eli. He doesn't always share his stories, a little bit quieter sometimes when it comes to that. And what you may not know is that a lot of what we do is not just revolved around me, which some people probably think, but it's very carefully created and curated around both Ali and I and our lives together and what it is that we want to individually achieve in life. So what I want to do is I want to start off first by talking about before we, and in fact before me, and what growing up was like for Ali. So yeah, talk us through a little bit about what life was like for you growing up.
Well, I guess I'll tell my backstory, and I'll go back to when I first came to the country. So I'm a child of the second migration, as I call it. From Samoa coming to Aotearoa for, land of the milk and honey. My parents brought me, my two older brothers and my sister to New Zealand because they wanted to give us a better life. So we arrived in 78. I think I was only about 3 years old then.
I wasn't born.
I should show my age. But we came. My parents only wanted the best for us. We didn't have much. But what we did have was a lot of love, a lot of strict love as well, as a lot of my friends would say back in, when we reminisce of what it was like back in the old days. I went to school at Otahu Primary. That's where I first started schooling. Then our parents shifted us to Māngere. And I grew up, I did all my schooling down in Māngere. I went to a school called Viscount. It's still a school there. Then I went to intermediate Arahanga. And then I finished up at Māngere College, Seek the Heights, such a great institution there. A lot of great people have come from Māngere College, and I'm still a proud South Aucklander. Even though I do live in West Auckland, I still South Auckland at heart. That's where I've come from. My parents were both hard workers. I think my mother is probably the role model that I really look up to. She's always been hardworking. She tried to keep the family together. She was very good at giving hidings when we were younger. But now, when I sit down with my mom, and we reminisce about the old days, and I know for a fact that she only knew what she knew, and I'm always thankful to my parents for giving me the opportunity to come to New Zealand and get the education that I was enabled me to be where I am today. So I always wanted not to be poor or have some money. So I never had much money when I was younger. I remember a lot of the times walking to school. I used to live out Mangere East, and I remember walking to school. And that's a long walk. You're talking about an hour to walk to school. And I think it was my last year of school, and I had first thing training and then walk home afterwards. It was in the dark, so didn't have much money then, but I always knew that I wanted to find a way to take myself out of poverty, and sort of just break that cycle. Our family are very hardcore Christians, as most Pacific Island families are. Coming from Samoa, the main word they have in there is, Samoa is based on God, so that's the foundation for everything over there. Which, I'm a big believer in God, and I think that, what He's given me, I need to be a role model for those people that want to, especially for our young youth who aspire to be more. And I saw, so going into accounting, I saw, hey, this is a good way to make money. I saw how much they were earning, and I decided, I'm going to be an accountant because I know they're going to make money. This is before rugby was professional, so it was, I like to say that I was a pretty decent rugby player, but my heart was never in it because I knew I wouldn't make any money. All the All Blacks in my days, they played rugby, then they went back to work their 9-to-5 jobs, so I didn't see it as a real career. So I took that route, but obviously things didn't quite go the way they were. Started university, my parents, and then ended up getting pregnant with my oldest boy, and I started working, and didn't quite go down the accounting route, and so I ended up in sales and marketing. So I did that for about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years, and I built myself up from there. Ended up having another boy. So I had 2 sons, and then I decided to go back to school. So I went back to MIT, actually. Finished up my degree. I did a bachelor's in business, and I had a marketing and accounting focus. And once I graduated, I just put all my energies in building up my career in accounting. So I remember the long nights. I was a solo dad then. I'd split from my first wife, and I had shared custody of my boys, and so it was mainly just looking after them, going to school, and working as hard as I can, so I can get my CA and get myself up on the career ladder. And then I met Wendy. That's where I met you today. About 12 years ago now.
Just over 12 years ago.
Yeah, and we haven't looked back since then. I never thought of myself as a business owner. My focus was, I'm going to become an accountant. I'm going to be a partner, because I remember my first interview with one of the managing partners. He's a good friend now, and one of the things he asked me, what do you want to do? I want to be a partner. I want your job. And he goes, oh yeah. So he didn't quite go that route. I ended up just going to start up our own practice, and it was an easier way to become a partner. I wouldn't say easier, but but yeah, went down that route instead. So I can still remember the conversation that me and Wendy had. She goes, why don't we start our own business? I just got conferred my CA, and the first thing she said, let's go, we'll pimp you out. So yeah, and we took that step. It took a little bit of convincing on her part, but being an accountant, I decided to see what it looks like. And then I did some numbers, and I went, yeah, why not? And we did it. And it's been almost 10 years, 9 years now. And next year is our 10th anniversary for WE. So we've come a long way. But I think for me, I really want to help our people, Māori or Pacific, and our indigenous people, just strive to be the best that they can be. So yeah, was that too much, was it?
So I said to Ellie, just saying, Don't just talk for half an hour by yourself.
I was only 10 minutes.
I know, there was one question and that took 10 minutes to Okay, let's go back a little bit. So you said that I came to you and I said, let's start a business, because I'd always wanted to get into business,
Yes.
and I never really knew what I wanted to do. And then I just saw that as a prime opportunity. So just to help other people who might be thinking about going into business, what really are the things that you did? Like when you did your due diligence and you were like, before you made the decision that, yes, this is what we're going to do, what was it that you actually did?
Well, being an accountant, right, numbers pay a lot of, and it's one of the key things that we do learn. And one of the things I did do was do a budget and a forecast of what's it going to look like when my income goes. And so I did those numbers, forecasted it out, and I went, okay, I've got 6 months. We had about 6 months of savings that I could do, and I had 6 months there to earn a living. And that's where we started, making sure that we've got a budget in place. We forecasted out what we're going to need, ensuring that when I do leave my job, have we got enough income to sustain my salary while we're building up this business? And that was probably the key driver. I think it's really scary, taking the leap to starting out your own business. But I think if you plan well, get a budget in place, and just talk to some people who can give you some advice. So I think I spoke to one of the partners from RXM that I really like, and they just gave me encouragement, and they said, you guys might as well do it now. So okay. But I felt for myself personally, I think having those numbers there really helped, having their budget in place, both for the business and your personal budget, but also having a business plan in there. Obviously, they kept changing over the years with all the things that Wendy wanted to run through in there. So I was like, okay, how can we pivot here?
So I think one of the key things that you said in there that I think that people don't often do, that we've realized because we work with business owners, obviously, is that a personal budget is just as important as a business budget. Because if you don't know how much you need personally, how do you know how much your business needs to make for you to survive?
Yeah, definitely. I remember when we first met, our personal budgets. You saw what other spreadsheets I have. I still look back on the old spreadsheets.
Hold on. So okay. I think Ellie and I had been dating 1 or 2 weeks, like literally. And he says,
2 months.
okay, no, you'd moved in by 3 months. So it was before then. So, okay, maybe 3 weeks, but like pretty early on into our relationship, Ellie asked me for my personal budget. And I'm like, what budget? I have a budget. So literally from then on, so Ali went through all my bank statements and he pulled out my budget and he's like, you're losing money every week. And then anyway, so yeah, honestly, from then we have had a spreadsheet with a budget in it for every single week for the last 12 years that we've been together.
Yeah, well, it's really important. I know that in business that people, when they do go into business, they go, okay, cool, I've got my business budget, and I'll go, well, have you taken into account your own personal stuff? And they go, what? So, all right. So, it's just as important if you're going into business, ensure that your personal budget's taken care of as well. I do a lot of exercises with clients who want to look at their personal budgets. It's really cool. Once they sit down, actually see what the numbers look like, then it enables them to make better decisions around what they want to spend their money on, what they want to save on, and how long it takes to do as well.
So we decided to start a business. We started from scratch. So if you don't know, like we had no clients to start with, and I was working full time then at the ASB, and we had 4 sons at that stage, and my dad became our first client, and so he helped us with our fit out for our office, and we did his accounts for free because Ali was like, there's no way I'm charging my father-in-law to do his accounting. So we did that, and then we found out, like literally Ali handed in his notice at RSM, and then we found out that we were having a baby.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have long to sort out what we were going to do, because very soon we were going to have no income.
Yeah. No, it was really challenging. And I think this is one thing that our business owners need to realize. When you do go into business, you have to become a salesperson. I know a lot of people go, they shy away from it. But when you're going into business, you need to be able to sell.
Yeah.
And people, especially in small business environment, they want to usually buy the person. So I think for me, a lot of it, obviously yourself being from a sales and marketing background, that really helped. But still, it's not easy trying to build a client base from scratch. And there was a lot of long nights during that first 6 months in business. It's always really hard. But man, I think one thing that I have learned is that I love what I'm doing, and so it doesn't matter how many hours I work. It doesn't seem like work. And so you've got to love what you're doing. Don't go into business if you don't love it. Otherwise, it's harder to get up in the morning to go out, and you've got to make a sale. I've got to finish a particular job. If you don't like it, then it's not really for you. So find something if you're going to go into business, find something that you really enjoy doing, and find a way to monetize that particular project. And I think with COVID, we're seeing a lot of new businesses starting up, and I think one of the things that we are trying to do is how can we help these new businesses, I guess, create sustainability for themselves, knowing that they're doing what they love, but they're earning money with it as well. So.
Yeah, that's so true. So we had a baby, and then I came into WE to help out in Ali's business. And a year later, we're like, oh my gosh, no, I'm going to stay in the business. But we just hustled. We just hustled hard.
Yeah.
But I think one of our weaknesses still is, but we're getting better at it. So, we're really good at, obviously, operations. So in business, there are many different hats of an organization. We're really good at accounting, because you were a chartered accountant. Well, you got better at it because you actually came from auditing. So for those of you who don't know, Ali spent about 2 to 3 years working at the IRD, and then which is actually a real good bonus, just saying. But anyway, and then you worked at RSM for a good couple or 3 years or something like that.
I think just under 4.5 years. I think I worked with RSM, and I don't know. A lot of people don't realize the difference. There's quite a few differences when you become an accountant. So there's 3 main parts of it. You either go into taxation, exciting subject. That's they get paid a lot too. So and then you've got the auditors. They're basically the accountants for accountants. And then you've got the business advisory. That's your normal accountants. What people, that's the usual perception of people. So I started in the auditing, so I audited a lot of accountants' work. So that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. I used to delve into what the actual business was about, and working with CEOs, the GMs, and just getting to really understand their business and how it ticks. But then moving from there, from working with multi-million-dollar organizations to smaller organizations, it took a bit of relearning of my accounting concepts that I hadn't quite done in a long time. So it has been a learning curve for me as well, but it's been fun. I won't lie, it's hard work, but I really do enjoy what I do. And I think these last couple of months, I would have clocked over 60 plus hours a week. I don't know if my team realizes that, but I am up at night quite a bit looking at some of their work and just to help out as well. So and I think that's one of the things of business owners as they grow. Sometimes, yes, you are the boss or you're the CEO. Sometimes you just have to get your hands dirty again, just to help your team out, especially those businesses that are still growing and they've got staff under them. Sometimes you just have to get your hands dirty and get on the tools again. So, and I do enjoy some of that work coming through and just helping mentor some of our younger staff that are learning the trade.
Anyway, so as I was saying, So yeah, we're really good at sales because we actually grew our business really quickly. So every year for the last 9 years, we've just grown and grown and grown. And even in 2017, when we took quite a bit of time off work because I'd got cancer, we still grew that year too. So, and some years have been way more than others. But one of the challenges that we've had, and probably one of our downfalls at WE Accounting, has been our processes. Because it's, you know, and it's easier, I think, when you're smaller, because we had like our staff had been with us for such a long time. So we had like one staff member that was with us for 7 years. And then we had a number of staff that were with us for like, say, 5 years. And so everyone just knew what to do. And so it made it easier because everyone just kept doing what they were doing. But, you know, like one ended up completely going into a different field. Like he went and built houses, and then somebody else left and she went into marketing. And, you know, one went on maternity leave and then didn't come back. And, you know, so they just had life changes. And then suddenly we were like, oh, oops, you know, we got so stuck. But now we're a whole lot better, getting better. But yeah, processes are so important in business, we've realized.
Yeah, and I guess both me and Wendy probably not process people. So, and I think the majority of businesses are like that. They start off doing a particular business that they enjoy doing, but then as they scale and grow, you know, they're just doing their own ad hoc processes here and there. And I think people don't realize just how important those processes are. Because if they're also reliant on one particular person, that particular person may get sick or leave or whatever circumstances are, and then all their IP is gone. And so for us, I think for the last couple of years, it has been around processes, and we're building particular processes in our systems for our business to ensure that we can, you know, deliver more quality work for our staff. And know that if anyone else comes on board, as our team grows, they're still following the same process, and it's the same throughout.
So here's a question for you. What's more important, process or finances?
Well, at the end of the day, you've got to have finances to keep it going. So I'm always going to say finance. But they go hand in hand.
Coming from the accountant.
Yeah, I guess they're all the cogs in the same machine. So you know, you can't have one without the other. You need the other to grow you need finances to grow to make sure that processes are working, but you know, you'll get to a point where you have to make sure you fix your processes, otherwise your finances are going to fall down. So yeah, I guess you need both.
What would you say are some of the challenges of working with your wife?
Challenges. I guess for us, we're being pretty lucky. We do have our different strengths, right? And that's helped us throughout the years. And you know, sometimes, you know, we just got to make sure that we keep it. If we're going to talk about something, some disagreements, and it's about work, it stays on work, and it doesn't get personal. You know, sometimes we do have heated arguments. I'm sure the team have heard us argue about a particular.
Close the door.
But yeah, communication, I think, is key in a relationship as well. So, you know, we've heard stories of people breaking up over business, and I think Dad will even say, "Don't go into business; it's not going to be good for your marriage." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's not good."
You did warn us, but we're still here.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, communication, I think, is key. Whether you're in business or in your personal lives, if you have issues, talk it out. Don't just sit there and wonder, what is the other person thinking? Don't assume things. Just talk. And I think for us, it's been about communicating, and I guess our communication skills have gotten better and better. I'm an old school. It just when we first met, I was like, "Oh, don't talk about my feelings." No, that's old school.
He still is old school. I'm just saying, he's so old school sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. But yeah, communication, I think, is really key. Challenges, well, I'd say that we'll work through those challenges that we did have. We haven't really had too many. I know that we when one person is down, the other is always there to try to lift each other up. And when we do have our disagreements, we probably have some time out, then sit down and just reflect more about the problem, and then come back together and and then talk more about it.
Okay, so what then are the benefits of working together in a relationship? You know, what is also, what are some of the things that have really worked for us? Is because, like you said, a lot of marriages fall apart when they're in business, and I mean, we have seen it. Even just friendships, like they go into business, and this happens a lot. This actually happens a lot. They come and see us. Oh yeah, I've gone into business with my friends or these people, and we're like, you know, do you have a shareholders agreement? No, we don't need one of those. We're like best mates. And then the next thing you know, they're like enemies and they don't talk to each other anymore. It happens so often. So why have we worked? What really have we been doing? Or how come we've worked?
I think when I spoke to it about earlier, we have different skill sets that really complement each other, and I think that really does help. And that communication, you've got to talk to your business partner. Don't try to hide things, because that's when you get into trouble.
Yes, don't hide things.
But yeah, I guess one of the key things is you've got to have the same sort of goals and visions.
Yeah.
And I think we do align on that part. Yes, we may have a different way of trying to get there, but we still have that goal. And I think it's a shared goal that we do have around helping our people. And then we're all passionate about it. And then that really helps, because I know that sometimes, you know, we have a husband and wife that might go into business. It's the husband's business and wife is just there just to tag along. And, you know, it does cause resentment sometimes between the wife, because they don't really have that shared vision. And it should be the same when you go into partnership with anyone in businesses, ensuring that you've got the same values that are aligned and that you've got that shared vision. Otherwise, when you go into tricky situations, you know, one person will be going this way and the other one will go the other way. And that's what causes a lot of that heartache. So if you've got that shared vision, then at least, you know, when you do have disagreements, you can come back to it. Okay, this is what we're trying to do. We're on the same page. How can we work this out? And I think that's probably one of the key things if you're going into business for anyone. And I know that we've talked to a lot of business partnerships, and yeah, as an accountant, you know, I sit down with clients and I always advise them, have you got an agreement? Have you got an agreement? Please put that in place.
Yeah.
Because I've worked with plenty that they haven't had one, and that's caused a lot of strife. Get it right out in the open straight away.
Yeah.
So at least you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right about the shared vision and the shared purpose, which, you know, so our purpose at WE is to change the statistics for Māori and Pacifica people, because they sit across some of the worst in the world, not even just in New Zealand, but even in the world. And then our vision is to create $100,000 million businesses. And so that really does stem from Ali's background and my background and what it is that we want to achieve in life. And it ties in so nicely to business and WE accounting and what we're trying to do, which just makes it easier, really. And it always comes back down to that. Is this going to help us to fulfill our mission and our purpose and our vision? And if the answer is yes, then, you know, we look to see how we can do that.
Yeah, and we've always had, you know, from our side, when we do speak to a client, we see their vision. You know, we want them to thrive and to be successful in what they want to achieve, because we know that if they're doing that, and we're doing our job, it's going to be good for them, good for their communities, good for their families, but ultimately it'll be good for Aotearoa as a whole. You know, 1,000 businesses turning over $1 million each, you know, that's $1 billion right there. And it just spreads out, I guess, the wealth through a lot of people, not just one or two big corporations. They have that. So we're a country of small businesses. 97% of our businesses are SMEs, 600,000 around the world on last count. So, you know, why wouldn't you want to be in a small business? You know, have your own destiny.
I think it's going to grow though with COVID and you know, what we've noticed is that there's a lot of people doing side hustles now, just either trying to bring in extra income, or they've been thinking about doing it and so have gotten into it. So I think that number is going to grow even more. Cheryl has a question for us. She said, it's awesome that you guys have been able to grow. Is there any particular reason why you think you guys have continued to grow each year?
I guess for us, we're continually evolving in the way we deliver our service. I know that when we did start out our business, we wanted to be a mainstream accounting firm, be like everyone else. And obviously Wendy had different ideas on that way and how we operated. And so we really pivoted our business. And honestly, the last 2 years has been massive growth for our business. We've hit some really awesome targets. We've really changed on the type of service that we are giving. And you have to evolve. I know that in the accounting industry, if you're not evolving, you're dying. So, and COVID has really made even a bigger change in there. And so a lot of firms, you know, are looking to the cloud, digital transformation around their business, but it also gives you the ability to go global. And I think you need to have that global thinking in your business. If you've got a business, got a product or service, how can I take this product or service to the global market? Because now we are open to that. With the digital environment that we're in, you're now able to sell to anyone. You're in Auckland, New Zealand, you might be down Wellington, but if you've got a product that can sell to the masses, you could sell it to America, you know, China. You've got the ability now to be a multinational business in a small little town.
I think also part of the answer to that question, Cheryl, is we've got a pretty lofty vision and purpose, and to change the statistics for Māori and Pacifica people means that we really have to serve a lot of people and to make a lot of change. And we know that there's going to be a ripple effect, because one business that you help, you know that then that is rippling down to the staff or their team that they're hiring, and then into those families. So it does make a difference. But I think for us to make the difference that we want to make, then we have to reach as many people as we can reach. And we don't actually really even try. We don't really try too hard to bring on new clients. They kind of just come, which is kind of cool. So Uliana says, what do you mean when you say pivoting the business? In other words, how do you do that? Well, maybe hold on. Let's go back to when we first started in business, and then I came on. So we were, we'd started getting. So we decided that we were going to open up an office because we thought, well, people won't want to come to our house. We've got 4 kids. They're not going to want to come into our house to see us to talk about accounting. So we made the decision to get an office, and it's like right smack bang in the middle of
great marketing.
And people just started walking in off the streets. That was handy. But when I came into the business, and we had maternity pay, which was great, but that wasn't ever going to last. We decided we had to make some changes, and we had to pivot then and find a way. So we sort of thought, how can we bring in money now so that we could actually continue to pay our bills and sustain our family, and now look after now 5 sons, because we'd had Blake by then. So do you want to talk about what we did in that first pivot that we did?
I think because while we were building on our accounting clients, there was this thing called tax refunds, and so we jumped on the bandwagon as well. But our market was the Pacific market, and we tried to help because back then they had the players like Woohoo, and they were automating a lot of that stuff, and a lot of our people didn't know how to work the technology then. So we had a lot of phone calls, and we had to do it sort of manual, and it was great. It helped us get us some cash flow in our business while we were building up our accounting clientele. And that was our pivot. We were doing tax refunds for the first, that was the majority of our revenue in that early stage of our business. But then it got to the point where it just didn't make sense, because we were spending so much time for so little gain from the commissions that we were earning from it. And so we pivoted our business and said, hey, we're just going to concentrate on our accounting firm. our accounting clients, and we'll slowly let go of the tax refunds.
And then not long after that, IRD scrapped it all anyway.
Exactly.
Well, actually, it was a few years after that.
Yeah, and so those businesses had to pivot it. But I think one of the things that is taking a lot of change in the accounting industry is the technology that's been evolving. And most accounting firms, their bread and butter has been around, yes, you go to your accountant, you do your tax returns, and you do your financial accounts once a year, and you disappear. Yeah. But now that is becoming a commodity. And so how do you pivot that business that was so reliant on something that is now a commodity while you find a way to build value in those businesses? And so for us, we've changed the way we do a lot of our business. A lot of our main business now is driven around business advisory, business development work, which gives way more value to clients. And obviously at a high margin because we're helping their business to grow as well. And I think one of the other things around pivoting is when you mentioned that, when we went into business, we wanted to get our own premises, and we'll be in those premises for 9 years. And we've just made the decision that we're going to let go of our offices. So we've given notice to our landlord, and we're going to be fully mobile now and outside. So we're looking at other options around having maybe satellite offices where we can go in 1 or 2 days a week. So clients, if they really want to come and see us, we have somewhere that we can also meet with them, but not having a stationary office now. So yeah, that's really pivoting. I hope that answers your question.
Well, I guess that, and we've totally gone over our half an hour, but let me just ask this question. I guess with COVID, it showed so many people, or so many businesses, what actually can happen in business and what you can do. And we realized that we actually can just work remotely. And, for a while there, so we hired a couple of CAs. We have 3 CAs in our organization now. And 2 of them lived down in the Hawke's Bay. And it just made us realize that we could get talent anywhere in the world, actually. Didn't even have to be just in New Zealand. And why would we limit ourselves to the talent just in Tamaki if we could get someone who wanted to live in Invercargill, for instance? So that's been quite good for us for our pivot. Half hour is up, and I know that we can keep talking forever because there's so many things that we haven't touched on. You haven't talked about 2017, which, if you don't know, that was the first year that I got cancer, lost my dad, lost my granddad, and that was quite a hard year for us. And we really relied a lot on our team, and they pulled through for us, which was really awesome. And then we've had another case of cancer since then last year, and which actually not many people know about. That's a whole other story. And so maybe just what for you personally has been like one of the biggest challenges of being in business?
Biggest challenges, obviously managing staff is a big challenge. I think that is something that when you go into business, and yes, you may be a manager, but when it's your own business and you're managing staff, that's a total different kettle of fish. So that has been a challenge, and finding the right people for your business is really key. But you learn a lot of things. I know that I'm not very good with HR stuff, so I do leave it to my wife to do. She's very good at it. So, and we do have professionals that we do talk to, so anything around HR, we always make sure we get the advice from the right people. And I think if you're into business and you're looking at, HR issues within your business, go and see a professional. Don't try to do it yourself. And we have lawyers that we go to, and so we make sure that we get the right people on board. But I guess for me, it's is how do we manage staff properly? And obviously, my wife is probably key in our business. Is you asked why do we work so well? It's because I do trust you quite. I trust you fully in our business, and I'm glad that we were able to do that, because I don't know if people to trust another business partner, to be honest. Being an auditor, you always got that What red flags are here and stuff. So, we share everything around the business. So, yeah. So if you're going into business, make sure you go into someone that you really trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Any last things, anything else that you've learned over the last few years that you want to share before we finish up today with the people listening?
I think definitely going into business, make sure it's something you love to do. What's the saying? If you love what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life. So, yeah, it doesn't feel like I work anytime at all.
He's lying. That's such lies. That's not what he was saying before.
No, but yeah, you've got to love what you do. I think we say it to clients all the time that are looking at going into business. Do what you love. If you don't love what you're doing, just leave it. Go and find something that makes you happy. And I do love what I do. There are obviously there are times when I'm like, oh, I need a break, and I do take a break. But yeah, love what you do.
I agree. All right, that's we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Because honestly, we could talk forever because we haven't even spoken really about our kids.
Who?
raising 5 sons in a blended family, and running a business is some difficult stuff.
Yeah, big shout out to the kids. Yeah, they drive you nuts sometimes, but yeah, and especially to our younger one there, Blakey. Happy you're watching. So, he tries to watch it. He's probably watching with his older brother.
Yeah.
Who's looking after him. So yeah, big shout out to all the kids. Karen, make sure you look after our house.
And I was saying last night when I was interviewing Danica and Samoa that, we have people that pay us to give them advice and to help them out in business. And yet our kids, some of them listen, some of them do listen, some of them won't listen, some are selective listeners, and, I just think, oh, gosh, but I guess there are kids, who listens to their parents really? Yeah, Anyway, I just want to say from me that I love being in business with you. I love doing life with you, and I really appreciate all that you do in the business as well. It wouldn't be we without you. And yeah, you've definitely made the last 12 years of my life the best 12 years of my life so far, of the only short 21 years that I've been living.
Wow, man. I might be in trouble with the police, so that's okay. Thank you for the opportunity, my love, and happy 10th anniversary to you as well. So, how great is this? We're sitting in front of the phone, the cameras, and doing a live session on our 10th year in business.
This is what being in business and being married is all about. When I finished, I will actually take a photo and I'll pop it up on our Insta story and our Facebook story, so you can see what this looks like. But literally, just to this side of me is a big curtain with a veranda which overlooks the lake and the mountains with the snow on it, and it's absolutely beautiful. And it's tough, but it's so rewarding. And I love you very much.
I love you too.
All right, everyone. So that is us for this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And next week we've got a huge lineup. So we've got Tyrone from No 6. We've got Aaron Archie from Tuki Recruitment. We've got Nora Swan from Nora Swan Limited. We've got James McCarthy from Cradle, and we've got Bernard for MGA Insurance Brokers, who is our first speaker from Australia. So he'll be coming to us live from Sydney. So yeah, really excited about next week. We're jam-packed for the next few weeks actually already. So I'm looking forward to bringing those cup of teas to you. So thank you so much for tuning in. Have a fantastic weekend. A last happy anniversary to my husband, Ali, and thank you for sharing your story. Mā te wā whānau.